Good morning, everyone. My name is Carolyn Tate. I'm doing the chalice reading, and Ginny McKee is lighting the chalice. We light this chalice today as a people dedicated to personal growth. May it burn away the oppressions we have been taught and glow instead with the humility of learning. May it reignite our dreams for a better world and kindle our joy for simple living. May its worth extend into the forgotten alleyways of exclusion and bring us home to love, to welcoming, and to all the challenges, the questions, and the blessings of this beautiful path to becoming a beloved community.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
My name is Amy Brock, and I'm the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth. And it is time for all ages. So if you are young or young at heart, I invite you to find your way to the rug. And this month we are exploring joy. So while our friends are finding their way to the rug, I invite you to think about something in your home that brings you joy today. So what's something in your house that brings you joy? Alibaba? Oh, your dog's name is Alibaba. Okay. Your cat? What's your cat's name? Sneak? Anything? Your bed? Yarn, yeah. Do you knit or crochet? Crochet. Your food? What kind of food do you like to eat? Mac and cheese, that's my favorite too. Okay. Well, I think Heather is going to tell us a story today about joy, and I think we might get to learn about what some other creatures enjoy in their homes.
I have two creatures in my story. One is a lizard, and the other is a bear. Now, before we begin this story, let me ask you a question. If you were a lizard, would you speak in a voice like this?
Or a little bitty voice like this. There you go.
But if you were a bear,
Would you speak in a little bitty voice like this?
Or a great big voice like this?
so you need to remember that as we go through the story. There was once a lizard who lived at the top of a mountain on a rock. He loved his home on that rock so much. The rock kept him warm and safe and dry. He loved that home on his rock so much that he made up a song about it. And it went like this in his little lizard voice.
Zoli, 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 Zoli. Rock is my home, rock is my home.
Now, I suspect that all you lizards out there could sing that with me. So let's do it together. Here we go in your little lizard voice.
Zoli, 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 Zoli. Rock is my home, rock is my home.
Now, one day when Lizard was singing that song, Bear happened to hear it. And Bear was the kind of animal, when he saw or heard things he liked, he took them. And Bear liked that song. So Bear lumbered his way up to the top of the mountain and said,
Lizard, teach me that song. I want it.
Well, Lizard was very proud to share his song, and so again, he began to sing in his little lizard voice.
Zoli, 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 Zoli. Rock is my home, rock is my home.
Well, he had to sing that song only twice before Bear said,
I know it.
and Bear lumbered his way down the mountain singing Lizard song, but singing it in his own bear voice. Here we go.
Zoli, 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 Zoli. Rock is my home, rock is my home.
Well, just as he got to the bottom of the mountain, a flock of ducks flew up right in front of his nose. It startled him so much, he couldn't remember the song. Bear lumbered his way back up to the top of the mountain, and again he said,
Lizard, teach me that song. I want it.
So Lizard began to sing his song again.
Zoli, 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 Zoli. Rock is my home, rock is my home.
This time he had to sing the song 10 times before Bear said, I know it. And Bear lumbered his way back down the mountain singing Lizard song in his own bear voice.
Zoli, 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 Zoli. Rock is my home, rock is my home.
Well, just then, a rabbit popped up out of its burrow, ran in front of Bear, and once again, Bear forgot the song. Bear lumbered his way back up to the top of the mountain and said,
Lizard, teach me that song. I want it.
Lizard didn't say anything, because Lizard was sound asleep on the rock at the top of the mountain. Well, Bear didn't want to lose that song, so he just grabbed a hold of Lizard by the tail, flung him over his back, and began to lumber his way back down the mountain. Well, all that swinging back and forth woke up Lizard, and he discovered that the whole world was upside down. He didn't know where he was going. He didn't know what had happened. He was frightened. And to make himself feel a little bit better, he began to sing his song.
Zoli, 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 Zoli. Rock is my home, rock is my home.
Well, Bear heard that singing. He took Lizard off of his shoulder, set him down on the ground, and said,
Lizard, teach me that song. I want it.
Bear, that song is my song. That song is about my home on the rock. Where do you live, Bear?
Cave,
said Bear.
cave is my home.
Lizard thought for a moment, and then he began to sing a little different song.
Zoli, 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 Zoli. Rock is my home. What is your home?
This time he had to sing it only once before Bear said, I know it. And Bear lumbered his way back down the mountain, singing his own song in his own bear voice about his own home, the cave.
Zoli, 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 Zoli. Cave is my home, cave is my home.
And off they each went to their homes, lizard to his rock and bear to his cave. And that is the story Lizard Song, written by George Shannon. Thank you for helping.
Thanks for sharing that story with us. It brought me a lot of joy to hear about bear and lizards' homes. Yes. We're going to explore joy more today in our different spaces, but before we go to our religious exploration space, we need to say the Children's Covenant during our time for all ages. So let's do that together. In this place, I am kind. In this place, I am loving. In this place, I am a friend to the earth and all animals and people. In this place, I am loved.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Chayla Sloper, the Congregational Life Facilitator, and I have today's announcements. Firstly, isn't it wonderful to be in spring? Yes. So even though it may mean allergy season, it's just so delightful. So I'm going to I'll give you two blessings. Blessings on your enjoyment of spring. So this time of the year is also a time for religious reflection, different stories of meaning that have come down through the ages. So last night began Passover. So for the following week, our Jewish neighbors, will be celebrating the story of the Exodus, the liberation from slavery. And then today is also Palm Sunday, so our Christian neighbors will be beginning the story of this very significant week in the life of Jesus of Nazareth. And so we join our hearts with people who are celebrating all these things, including the beauties of spring. So that's just a reminder. And yes, Ramadan completed recently as well. Last Sunday, okay, so Eid Mubarak for our Muslim neighbors as well. Okay, on to the announcements. It's hard to know sometimes whether to say the thing of most urgent importance or time. So I'm going to mix up the time just a little bit. We need signups for Easter brunch, really important. So next Sunday is our Easter brunch. We serve muffins and scones that can be sweet or savory, and then all varieties of deviled eggs. So we know that eggs have been like an issue lately. Let's celebrate with a little generosity. Anyway, so there's a sign up at the kiosk, and there's also a sign up in the weekly email, the all congregation email that we call the ACE. So there is a mechanism for signing up there as well. So that's for Sunday, and then you can bring them in Sunday morning, and we'll have really a festive time. I also recommend that we wear really bright colors. It's just a way of our celebrating this time of the year as well. Okay. Saturday, moving back a day. Fireflies, I believe, may be the second oldest social justice endeavor in this congregation. Bethlehem Inn predates that by many, many years, but Fireflies is a program that arose in this congregation to help provide learning materials to identified students in the public school system. Anyway, it's like a really wonderful program that supports early childhood learning. And this Saturday, bingo. So there's a bingo for Fireflies this Saturday, and it must be in your
Yes, 1:30 to 4. This is why we have the skyline to remind the congregational life facilitator when things are. So anyway, tickets are on sale today in the gathering hall after the service, and there's also a sign-up in the ACE. Today's Puzzle Mania Day. We thought we'd set it up in Linus Pauling, but it's overflowed into the gathering hall. Are there any rules for giving or taking? So we'll probably, this is sort of like, open source puzzle sharing. And so I brought some. I'm going to get some. Oh, and I'm also going to bingo, so please come to bingo. There are 3 new Good Times groups I just want to bring to your attention. Chris Patrick is interested in starting a ukulele group. Mary Craig wants to do a calligraphy practice group. And we've got the rumblings of a bridge group. These are all just the fun ways that we make contact with one another. So just have those in your mind. There will be things in the ACE or sign-ups at the kiosk. So may you have a really wonderful day and it begins with hearing Leslie Koch talking about the 10th anniversary of our congregation being in this building. So really have a lovely day. No.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Koch, and I have a personal connection to the 10th anniversary of our UUFCO new home. 13 years ago, I stepped into the role of the chair of the New Home Advisory Committee. And I'd be remiss if I didn't include the fact that for a year preceding 2012, when all of this started to happen, a small group of lay leaders of our then small UUFCO congregation explored every single possibility of space in Bend with the potential that we could financially stretch to afford and move in. It was a challenge to stay optimistic, to say the least, at that time. And then the path of our UUFCO history changed with a generous gift, the visioning help of UUA, which is the Unitarian Universalist Association, and a successful capital campaign. It was beyond the imagination of us all that collectively we had the expanse to undertake this size project. From our initial imagining sessions, hiring business partners, doing the work, and to the opening of our doors on the first Sunday service on February 1st, 2015, I'd say we actually made history. Although there were hundreds and hundreds of meetings, activities, tasks, and decisions made along the way, one stands out to me, and it occurred the week before our February 1st Sunday service. All of the chairs that are in this sanctuary, plus that are in the closet for our expanded events, they came in boxes. Many, many boxes. This brought together all the volunteers that had worked in our different committees for those 3 years. And during this time, last week, we worked together to remove the chairs from the boxes, collapse the boxes, and then set up the chairs in this sanctuary. I'll always remember the site as far as the project and what it meant to us to be together. And as you leave the sanctuary today, just look back and imagine what it would have been to be one of those volunteers of exhausted but incredibly energized UUFCO volunteers. And I just want to reiterate the things that are on the anniversary-related events on the skyline. The first is the photography exhibit. It's out there this morning. You've got several Sundays to take a look. You could take your coffee today and do that. And thank you, Grace Kennedy, for curating this. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Lots of way back memories. Now, plan to celebrate with us on Saturday, April 26th at 5 o'clock for a potluck and a program. And also, there will be, childcare will be provided. And then think about coming at 3:30 for a tour of the outside and in the building. It'll answer a lot of the questions that you may have been wondering all along. And then come on Sunday service, April 27th. After service, there'll be birthday cupcakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie, and I'm psyched. It'll be so much fun. This is the time in which we take our offering, and the offering today will be used for the projects and activities of UUFCO. So we welcome your generosity.
Hi, it's me again. I'm going to invite those who have very recently become members of the fellowship to join me on the platform, but I'm taking a prerogative of, I forgot a couple things in the announcements. So, firstly, there is a newcomer welcome in the library today after the service. That is, if you have questions, if you've been coming a little bit and you have questions about this congregation or Unitarian Universalism, I'll meet you in the library. Just grab your beverage and it doesn't last long. I'd just like to welcome your questions. And then the second thing is that this Wednesday, I've offered we're calling it a class, Why Unitarian Universalism Matters. And it's just a very sweeping treatment of the history of freedom of thought, which Unitarian Universalism definitely supports, affirms, and cultivates. Yay. So, okay, yes, new members. And why don't you, let's come over so people can see you. Don't be shy, just a little further. We're just going to rest. So it is always a delight. I was saying this to them in the book signing ceremony earlier. It's always a delight to welcome people who are committed now to this fellowship in a very intentional way. This is part of what membership is. And we envision that their lives will be transformed, even as all of our lives have been transformed, and that we go out from here and transform the world. So I'm going to give the microphone to Jessica at the far end. And so I've asked all of these new members to say their name and a word that captures this moment or your thoughts about membership. And then we have some involvement of you all. We did give them a book about our shared faith, and there is always more to learn about Unitarian Universalism. So.
Hi, I'm Jessica May. And my word is family.
Terry Felton. Family covenant. Family covenant for those of us who did not have a lot in our life.
Brat Larson, and my word's gratitude.
Greg Dusenberry. Community connection.
Peggy Sinclair, and my word today is inspired.
Thank you. Okay.
And I'm Carolyn Tate, the Vice President of the Board. Joining the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Central Oregon means entering into a covenantal relationship of mutuality, of giving and receiving. Our mission is that we join together to find meaning, celebrate life, and to serve the spirit of love and justice in our world. So I have some questions of our members. Dear members, as they join us, will you once again renew your own commitment to this congregation as we live into beloved community? And yes, you can say we will. Say we will. I will. Will you always work to create a space of welcome, exploration, a space of justice, and of mutual support through the joys and sorrows of life? And will you receive our new members with open arms and hearts, celebrating their now deeper connection with this community? Well, so welcome members of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Central Oregon. On behalf of the membership of UUFCO, we extend to you all the rights and privileges and responsibilities associated with membership in this congregation. I encourage you to learn about our Unitarian Universalist tradition, our history, and our promise. You are now a part of this congregation with all its imperfections and beauty, with all our human frailty, our power, and our hope. We joyfully receive you as members among us. Thank you. Yay.
Good morning. I'm not Shayla Sloper. I am Greg Byrne, a member of the pastoral care team. One of our traditions is to share our joys, sorrows, and gratitudes in community. The forms are on the kiosk in the gathering hall, or you can submit them online. The candles on both sides of the sanctuary are an opportunity for you to express a quiet emotion. When a congregant shares a joy, a sorrow, or gratitude, a door opens. A door that invites you to step through. An opening to share in another's genuine feelings. You might try it today at coffee hour. Did somebody submit a form? Did somebody light a candle? You are invited in. Today we have two, from Grace Kennedy for Shannon Adams. It's with great sorrow that I report Shannon Adams' husband of 40 years and life companion of 53 years, Harry Adams, passed on April 3rd, very unexpectedly, after a brief illness. Harry was much loved. From Alicia D., I'm so grateful for deep and profound conversations I've experienced with both my teens this week. Can you imagine? I'm truly thankful that they still trust me to listen.
Today's choir offering is entitled Traveler's Hymn, and I'm going to read the words before we sing. Standing aft, looking into the canal, I saw my reflection years ago. Strong, trim, confident, wine drunk on life, unaware of the coming storm. Rain falls and becomes a flood. Storm clouds come and go. Weather changes with its thunder and silence. Anchored alone at the isthmus, I pondered other ports. Forgotten lines and strange journeys, familiar music once heard, then gone. Rain falls and becomes a flood. Storm clouds come and go. Weather changes with its thunder and silence. We held each other as long as time allowed, drank, staring at the sea. He loved it as he loved you, deeply, without hesitation. This was written in loving tribute to the composer's fiancé who passed unexpectedly.
Hi, I'm Ann Wyman, and I'm going to read the meditation. We gather here to remember this is our home, but not just ours. This land we live on, this water we drink, this air we breathe, these old mountains that hold us steady to our ground, these forests that give us their healing green, these flowers that give us their beauty and fragrance, these fields that give us our daily bread, these stars that show us our place, the wilderness and the tame backyards, all of it our home. We remember the ancestors who have lived on this land and who have shaped it.
Before I begin, I want to thank the choir and David. That was stunning. Years ago, I was traveling back from somewhere, going home, and for some reason I was in the airport and in a line waiting, I don't know, for luggage or tickets or change or something, I don't know. But as happens when time passes like that, the people in the line begin to speak to each other. And the woman in front of me turned to me and she said, "Where are you from?" Now, when a brat from the military, or dependents as they're sometimes called, are asked, "Where are you from?" we are thinking, do you want to know where I'm headed, where I just was, where I was born, which house I lived in the longest? Because you see, I am an Army brat. My father was a West Point graduate, joined the cavalry, and then when it was disbanded, he went into the armor division. I lived in 13 different homes and 3 different countries from age 0 to 18. So which one was home, and does it really matter? I often reflect on this concept of home since where I'm from does not have a simple answer. And what does home have to do with UUFCO? Why am I talking about home today? There are 3 reasons. The first is that April is the month of the military child. Who knew? Our unofficial symbol is the dandelion because, quote, symbolizing their resilience and ability to thrive in different environments, much like how dandelions grow and bloom almost anywhere. Our color is purple because it is a combination of the colors of all branches of the military: Navy, blue, Marines, scarlet, Air Force, ultramarine, Coast Guard, white, red, and blue, Army, green. The second reason for this theme is because this month is all about joy. Home, in whatever form or location or tradition, often brings us joy. And third, if you're like me, you may have noticed that quite often when new members, and how wonderful it was that new members were being welcomed home today, quite often when they are asked by Chela to give the one word that they are feeling that day, they say the word home. Maya Angelou wrote, "The ache for home lives in all of us. That ache is what leads us to this home, and a spirituality that has existed for over 60 years and a beautiful building that has existed for 10. To better understand my pondering about searching for home, I'd like to share with you my childhood journey of those first 18 years. Now, are you willing, Debbie? I asked Willie Nelson if he could come and sing On the Road Again, but he was busy. So, now get this. I asked Debbie this morning, and she's going to do On the Road Again, which I just think is incredible. Right. No, that's good. That's fine. I'll be doing the talking. So I'm going to take you on a very quick, about 5-minute journey of those 18 years. And the clicker, do I just point it to you guys? All right. So here we go. Take a moment to read that. All right. We're going to begin the journey in 1952 when I was born in Frankfurt, Germany. 3 months later, we were stationed in Fort Knox, Kentucky, in reconverted hospital barracks, which you can see there behind me and my brother. Our next station, whoops, I went way too fast. Sorry. There we go. Our next station was Izmir, Turkey. We lived in that apartment building on the top floor. But what I really remember is that during the summer, we had a beach house on the Aegean Sea. And there you'll see Mom and my brother Rod and I playing in the ocean, which has become another home for me, the ocean. Well, then we were on the road again there in our Rambler. And we were stationed in Fort Knox, Kentucky, again. I don't have a picture of that particular house, but that's my father leading his battalion. Next was the Command and General Staff College in Leavenworth, Kansas. And you can see our apartment building behind us there. And what I also remember is that my mother had a pet canary, which I thought was pretty cool. You can see the cage there behind. And I had a pet hamster, Harry the Horrible. But what I really remember is that I had a chance to ride in a tank. That was very cool. And I'm the second from the left. Well, then we're on the road again. And now we went to Madison, Wisconsin. My father was at the university. And what was incredible about that was that we lived in a house, a real house. And it had a yard. And we could run through the sprinkler, and there was a raspberry thicket. It was amazing. My father was there to study so that he could then teach at West Point, which is coming up. But I'm going to insert here this cabin, which we spent our summers often. It's in the Black Hills of South Dakota. It belonged to my grandmother. And although we never officially lived there other than a few weeks out of the summer, it is definitely a home to me. Well, now we're headed off to West Point, New York, so that my father could teach chemistry at the academy. My parents were very glad that I was too young to be interested in the cadets. So we were in two different houses while we were there. The first one on the left, I don't have a picture of the outside. The one on the right is a duplex. We didn't have that whole building at West Point. And West Point is an absolutely beautiful place. It's just so historic. And there you can see one of the rooms with a fireplace and everything. It was beautiful. Well, after West Point, we had quite a few moves. My parents went off to Fort Bragg to the survival school, and for 3 months I lived in Spearfish, South Dakota with my grandparents, and then we were stationed in Monterey, California for 3 months while my father attended the Language Institute because, there's a picture again at the ocean there in Monterey, again, one of my homes. But the reason for all of these moves and changes was because he had been assigned to Vietnam. It was a tough year. We spent the time in a new house that had just been built, and my parents and grandparents knew it was going to be really tough for the kids, so they leased a horse so that I was busy all the time. That's Chief. When he returned, and thank goodness he returned, we were off to Fort Riley, Kansas. Again, you can see it's a duplex there, the quarters that we lived in. And I think of all the houses we lived in, that was, my feeling was it was the most glamorous. That's the staircase that you came down into the entrance room. I mean, just think how marvelous that is. Then after Fort Riley, Kansas, that's more of Fort Riley, Kansas. Beautiful old chapel there that we attended. We were Episcopalian, and it was built back in the 1800s. It had amazing history. And that's my father reviewing the troops. He is the one on the right. And I'm the one carrying the American flag. That horse is Taylor Deuce, and he and I just practically lived together, did a lot of horse shows. And after that, it was off to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas for my 3 years before graduating from high school. You can see me there as a high school pom-pom girl, and Taylor Deuce again, and my father, Colonel Robert James McNeil, in our final quarters. So this is the man that this was all about. He was the recipient of the Bronze Star Medal, the Air Medal during combat, the Army Commendation Medal, and the Legion of Merit. My father, Colonel Robert James McNeil. Doesn't he have $1 million smile? He always did. So, thank you, Debbie. That was amazing. So, which one of these is home? All of them, briefly. None of them permanently. Until my father reached the level of major, much of our furniture wasn't even ours. Most came from the quartermaster, which meant many families had slept in the beds and sat on the couch before us. The walls were often army green, and you dared not paint over that less than lovely color. We answered the phone in the assigned way of Captain McNeil's quarters, Heather McNeil speaking. We behaved, because if we didn't, it reflected on our father's career. At 5 o'clock every day, we stopped wherever we were going, stood, placed our hands over our hearts, faced where we knew the American flag was flying, and listened while Retreat and To the Colors was played on loudspeakers that could be heard all over the post. In some locations, it ended with a cannon being fired. We sang the Star-Spangled Banner before the movie began at the theater. We tended to be very patriotic, and I still am today, tearing up whenever I see battalions march by or the Blue Angels fly overhead. We used terms such as quarters instead of house, commissary instead of grocery store, PX instead of retail store, post instead of town, and orders instead of, can we talk about it as a family and decide whether we want to go? No, they were orders. It was an interesting, exciting, adventurous, multicultural life. I loved it then and remember it now with great pride and fondness. It was also a life that required survival skills. Most military brats become chameleons, quickly changing to fit into the new environment, school, playground, club. My brother, 3 years older than me, was most comfortable with making one good and steady friend at each location who shared his weird interests. Hi, Rod. He's watching. I was the socialite who made friends quickly, but just as quickly said goodbye and moved on, an attribute that has been both positive and negative in my life. By the way, do you know why the dependents of military officers are called brats? According to it doesn't have anything to do with how we act, okay? According to the Department of Defense, it is derived from the status standing for British Regiment Attached Traveler. And it was assigned to families who were able to travel abroad with their soldier. Eventually, it just referred to military children, but the term stuck and was adopted in many places around the world, including the United States. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that all those helping me today, Carolyn, Ginny, Greg, and Ann, are military brats. Would they and any other military brats out there please stand up so we can thank you for supporting your family? Maybe when we're in coffee hour, we could huddle in a corner somewhere and compare notes. Go Army. Recently, serendipitously, the UUFCO group, Fill Your Cup, had the theme of home. It was such a wonderful sharing of where everyone was from and what they remember, including, amazingly to me, addresses and phone numbers of the house they had lived in for so long. I can't even imagine that. I particularly enjoyed that we each shared a phrase that has the word home in it. For instance, there's no place like home. What movie is that from? Wizard of Oz. What famous singer is associated with the song, Home is Where the Heart Is? Elvis. Showing my age. How about Home Alone? Name the actor. Macaulay Culkin. And we can't forget E.T. Call. I especially remember the qualities of home that we talked about at Fill Your Cup. They were presented and discussed. Companionship, safety, comfort, personal expression, security, community. All of those are the attributes of home. And to better understand each of those, I have some examples. Let's talk about comfort. One attendee at Fill Your Cup said, home might not be a house, could be nature, an activity, or a group, a place of the heart, could be the feeling of a moment that there's nowhere else I'd rather be, I'm home. That's how I feel in the Black Hills, or at the ocean, or here on a Sunday with friends. Comfort. The next one is companionship. There is a project based in Chorlton, Manchester, England called The Stories of Our Lives. Attendees meet at the Chorlton Methodist Church to write about an assigned theme and then share. Recent topics have ranged from the benefits of being in green space to what's in your wardrobe. When the topic was, what is home? Someone named Mark Taylor wrote this: home is when two children face each other and raise their hands in front of them, fingers touching to make a roof. Home is their friends piling in and sheltering underneath. Home is when your arms get tired and I take your place. Companionship. Security and safety. Do you recognize the name Cassidy Hutchinson? If you don't, she was White House aide to Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and a staunch Republican. But what she saw and heard on January 6, 2021, had such a profound effect on her that she questioned her loyalty to President Trump and his Chief of Staff, and eventually agreed to testify to the United States Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. She was a whistleblower. One thing that encouraged her during the aftermath of her testimony, when she feared for her future, was knowing about Alex Butterfield, the whistleblower on Richard Nixon. Bob Woodward wrote a book about Alex Butterfield entitled Last of the President's Men, and Cassidy read and reread that book many times, seeking comfort and courage for what she had done. At the end of her own autobiography entitled Enough, she wrote about the day she finally met Butterfield. These are her words. We simultaneously reach out and wrap ourselves in a warm embrace, with the last of the president's men pressed against the small of Alex's back, and my tears beginning to soak his cashmere sweater. I bury my face in his chest. It's okay, he comforts me. It's okay, you're home now. Security and safety. Community. I recently spoke with our Ginny McKee, who leads the wonderful work of UUFCO members helping the homeless. I asked her what home means for those without a house. I can tell you in one word, she said, community. Wherever they are, whatever they live in, they look for a community that they can rely on. Personal expression. There is a quote often attributed to William Wordsworth, "Home is where the heart is." But in fact, the sentiment of that quote, for you historians, is found as far back as the beginning of the AD period, from the Roman naval commander Gaius Plinius Secundus, known to historians as Pliny the Elder, AD 23 to 79. Who knew? 2,000 years later, Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote, "Where we love is home, home that our feet may leave, but not our hearts." Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "A house is made of bricks and beams, a home is made of hopes and dreams." Where the heart is, hopes and dreams. Where we plan action, where we discuss poetry or politics, where we sip coffee and enjoy potlucks and talk and listen and celebrate and build and remember and dream. Personal expression. What has resonated with me at every Sunday service, or at every board meeting, or at Fill Your Cup, or Democracy in Action, or Auction Silliness, or when we make our pledges, all of that and more means this is a home for all of us. It embraces all of those qualities of home: personal expression, safety, companionship, security, comfort, community. I lived in Colorado before moving to Oregon. That was home for a while. I always attended a John Denver concert whenever he performed at the Red Rocks Amphitheater. And as much as I love Hayden Homes Amphitheater, it can't hold a candle to Red Rocks, I'm telling you. Everyone always sang along with John Denver, and one of his songs, Back Home Again, has these lyrics. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long-lost friend, and gee, it's good to be back home again. Every Sunday, and many days in between, it's great to be back home again. That's how I have felt since I discovered UUFCO, A home, not where I live, but a home where I find companionship, safety, comfort, privacy, personal expression, security, and community. It is a joyful home, full of joyful noise. And now, will you join David and Debbie as we make some joyful noise with another one of John Denver's songs, Country Roads, Take Me Home.
Please rise in body and spirit and sing along with us.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees,
Younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads.
All my memories gathered round her, miner's lady, stranger in blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eyes. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. I hear a voice in the morning air, she calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Country roads. Yeah.
And now will you join me in saying the covenant as I extinguish the chalice? This fellowship and service is its law. This covenant to dwell together in peace. When my father, Colonel Robert James McNeil, returned from Vietnam, there were protests going on nationwide against the war. My cousin, who was attending Antioch College at the time, was participating in those protests. And the family thought we had to keep that secret from my father. He found out, and he said, "She has every right to express her thoughts and feelings. That's what soldiers fight and die for the right of Americans to be free." I leave you with that thought and with the hope that you will always have a joyful home filled with joyful noise. Thank you.